Imagine waking up every single morning not tired, not dragging yourself into another day, but feeling alive, clear, and unstoppable. Like today isn't just another 24 hours to survive, but a real chance to grow, to lead, and to finally take control of your life. But let's be honest, how often does that really happen? If you're like most people, you roll out of bed already feeling stuck, drained, or trapped in habits that no longer serve you. The truth is simple. How you start your morning shapes the rest of your day. It shapes your mindset, your choices, and ultimately, your entire life. The ancient Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius once said, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." This isn't just philosophy. It's a roadmap for reclaiming your mornings and mastering your life. Today, we're diving deep into how you can use timeless Stoic wisdom to build powerful morning habits that sharpen your mind, strengthen your discipline, and give you clarity before the world tries to steal it. And if you resonate with this message, if you're serious about breaking free from the chaos and taking back control of your mornings, do me a simple favor. Hit that subscribe button. It's free, it supports the channel, and it helps spread this Stoic wisdom to more people who need it. Now let's get real. Most of us have a love-hate relationship with mornings. Your bed feels like a safe cocoon. The snooze button whispers promises of just 5 more minutes, and you convince yourself that comfort is all you need. But here's the truth. Most people won't admit. Early mornings are a game changer. This isn't empty motivation, it's reality. Those quiet hours before texts, emails, and endless distractions crash in are your golden ticket to clarity and control. Imagine waking up just 1 hour earlier than usual. It may sound painful or pointless at first, but that single hour becomes a sanctuary, an oasis of silence in a noisy world. No distractions, no demands, just you, your thoughts, and your vision. The Stoics understood this perfectly. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." The dread of waking early is always worse than the act itself. It's not waking up that drains you. It's the story you tell yourself about being tired, miserable, or unproductive. By rising earlier, you break the illusion. You prove to yourself that discipline is freedom, one of the deepest truths Stoicism teaches. Yes, it's uncomfortable at first, but growth never happens in comfort. As Carl Jung said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." That extra hour in the morning is your chance to look inward, to awaken not just your body, but your authentic self, your true vision, and your real purpose. It's in those moments that clarity emerges, solutions reveal themselves, and your inner strength rises. But let's be honest. When your alarm goes off and you finally drag yourself out of bed, what's the first thing you reach for? For most people, it's coffee. That quick shot of caffeine feels like salvation, like the fuel you need to even function. And I get it. Coffee isn't the enemy. But here's the hidden truth. After a long night of sleep, your body wakes up dehydrated. Your brain, your focus, your energy, they're already running on empty. That's why the first thing you need in the morning isn't coffee, it's water. A tall, refreshing glass of water is like hitting the reset button on your entire system. It clears your mind, balances your mood, and primes your body for focus. The Stoics often taught that mastery comes from the small, consistent actions. Epictetus reminded us that progress is not achieved by luck or accident, but by working on yourself daily. Choosing water before coffee is exactly that, a small act of discipline that carries enormous power. Your brain is made mostly of water. When dehydrated, your focus, memory, and mood all suffer. By starting with hydration, you're giving your brain a wake-up call, signaling to yourself that clarity and strength come before impulse. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Choosing water over caffeine first thing in the morning is exactly that, turning an unconscious habit into a conscious act of self-mastery. And yet, the biggest morning trap most of us fall into isn't coffee. It's our phones. We wake up, reach for the screen, and drown ourselves in chaos before the day even begins. One moment you're resting peacefully. The next you're swallowed by emails, headlines, and Instagram stories from people you barely know. So ask yourself, why give away control of your sacred morning clarity to notifications and algorithms? Stoicism teaches us one of life's most important truths. Protect your inner peace like it's sacred. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Think about that. Your phone is the doorway through which endless outside events come storming into your mental sanctuary every morning. The second you scroll, you surrender control. But by simply delaying that scroll, even for just 30 minutes, you reclaim the power to choose your thoughts instead of reacting to whatever the digital world throws at you. Carl Jung reminded us, we are not what happened to us. We are what we choose to become. Every single morning you face a choice. Will you be ruled by notifications, distractions, and outside noise, or will you rise with intention and self-awareness? Skipping the morning scroll isn't just about avoiding stress, it's about cultivating a stronger sense of self. You begin the day knowing exactly who's in charge, you, not your feed. Trade the screen for silence, journaling, or reflection. Read something meaningful. Breathe deeply. Notice the morning sunlight. Rediscover the forgotten power of presence. When you choose clarity over chaos, your entire day unfolds with focus instead of frenzy. And here's something surprisingly powerful. Start your day with a simple act of order. Not a massive breakthrough, but something small and within reach. You pull the covers tight, fluff the pillows, straighten the sheets. Just like that, you've already completed something intentional. You've proven to yourself that structure beats disorder. Making your bed isn't homemaking, it's mental training. We live in a culture obsessed with huge transformations, yet we forget that greatness is built on tiny, consistent habits. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Don't waste the rest of your life worrying about what others think of you. It keeps you from doing anything useful." And isn't that what a messy room reflects sometimes? A distracted mind, pulled in 1,000 directions, worrying more about the world outside than the world within. Making your bed is your first victory of the day. It's a promise kept to yourself. And promises kept build trust, a quiet self-respect that runs deep. Admiral William McRaven once said, "If you want to change the world, start by making your bed." Not because the bed itself changes your life, but because it sets the tone. If you can't master the little things, how can you expect to handle the big ones? This ripple effect is real. Carl Jung taught us that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Look around. Clutter in your environment isn't just mess. It's a reflection of inner noise, unresolved thoughts, and emotions left unchecked. When you create order outside, your inner world follows. Making your bed isn't aesthetics, it's alignment. This is how the Stoics lived. Not with perfection, but with purpose. They began each day asserting control over their time, their space, and their mindset. Making your bed becomes a declaration. I am in control today. I will not be ruled by disorder. I choose discipline, even in the smallest things. And yet, some mornings your body feels heavy, your head foggy, your motivation gone. But here's the truth. You're not broken or lazy. Your system is simply still asleep. Your mind may have opened its eyes, but your body hasn't caught up. Until both are synced, you're running on low power. The fastest reset? Move. Not a crushing workout, not chasing six-packs or personal records, just movement. Gentle, intentional, alive. A few stretches, a short walk, some squats, yoga poses. That's it. Enough to wake up your nervous system, get the blood flowing, and remind your brain, I'm alive, I'm ready, let's go. The Stoics valued strength not for vanity, but for vitality. Epictetus once said, "No great thing is created suddenly." Energy, discipline, focus. All of it is built slowly, day by day, through consistent action. Moving in the morning isn't exercise, it's ritual. It's self-respect made visible, and psychology backs this up. Carl Jung believed the body is the mirror of the psyche, the visible soul. If your body is stiff, stuck, or dormant, what does that say about your mind? Anxious? Move. Stuck? Move. Unmotivated? Move. Because motion disrupts stagnation. It wakes you up from the inside out. It doesn't have to be perfect, elegant, or choreographed. Just start. Because once momentum takes over, energy rises, clarity emerges, and suddenly you're not dragging through your day. You're leading it with purpose. Seneca reminded us, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. And let's be brutally honest. How many mornings have you wasted scrolling in bed, laying still, waiting to feel like it? The truth is, you'll never feel like it. Don't wait. Don't negotiate. Just move before your excuses catch you. Think about that moment right before stepping into a cold shower, when your brain screams, "Nope, not today." That resistance you feel? That's your comfort zone digging in its heels. But here's the secret. Transformation begins right there, at the edge of resistance. If you've been chasing mental toughness, emotional clarity, or simply a sharper start to your morning, this is your entry point. Cold water. No filters, no fluff, just you, your breath, and your willpower. And let's be clear. It sucks at first. It's not supposed to feel good. But that's the point. The Stoics were obsessed with voluntarily facing discomfort, not because they loved suffering, but because they understood something most of us forget. Comfort breeds weakness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." Stepping into a cold shower is not about the water. It's a radical declaration that you choose courage over comfort, grit over hesitation, and life over fear. Psychologically, cold exposure snaps you awake. The shock forces you into the present moment. You breathe deeper, focus harder, and override your instincts to retreat. This is neuroplasticity in action. Your brain rewiring itself to meet discomfort with resilience instead of panic. Carl Jung said, "What you resist persists." That resistance to cold water? It's symbolic of every other discomfort you avoid. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of uncertainty. Face the water, and you train yourself to face the rest of life with steadiness. This is fortitude. Seneca believed in preparing the mind and body for adversity. He fasted, wore rough clothes, and practiced hardship, not to suffer, but to grow stronger. Cold showers are our modern equivalent, daily resistance training for your nervous system. Every time you step in, breathe through the shock, and endure, you're proving to yourself, I can handle discomfort without flinching. And that quiet confidence doesn't stay in the bathroom. It follows you into your work, your relationships, your entire life. And yes, the physiological benefits are real. Cold showers improve circulation, release endorphins, and spike your alertness. You don't need coffee to feel awake. You need courage. That icy rush clears the mental fog and drops you straight into the moment. Alive, energized, focused. But here's the key. You don't have to start with 5 minutes. Start with 30 seconds. Just a blast of cold to end your warm shower. One small shock. One tiny win. One chance to say, I do hard things. The Stoics taught that virtue is forged in action, not theory. This is your action, your daily act of self-conquest. And right after facing the water, there's something equally powerful, giving form to your thoughts. Because what good is a strong body if your mind is still a mess? Most of us wake up carrying a constant stream of worries, to-do lists, old memories and judgments, all swirling in a chaotic loop. Left unchecked, that loop becomes a prison, It drains your focus, poisons your mood, and clouds your judgment before the day even begins. That's why journaling is not just an artsy trend, it's mental hygiene. A few minutes with a pen and paper can do more for your clarity than hours of overthinking ever will. The process is simple. Sit down and write. No rules, no grammar, no filters. Just raw honesty poured onto the page. Write the lingering worry. From yesterday, a dream you can't shake, a flash of gratitude, a sharp realization. Let it out. Don't polish it, don't censor it. Journaling isn't about creating something beautiful. It's about emptying the mental junk drawer before the day fills it again. The Stoics practiced this centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius kept a private journal, what we now call meditations. He never meant to publish it. It was his way of sharpening his principles and humbling his ego. One of his most famous lines, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way," may never have existed if he hadn't written it down. Journaling gave him clarity to govern an empire with calm and composure. Modern psychology agrees. Jung believed the unconscious is always trying to communicate with us through dreams, moods, and symbols. He wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Journaling is exactly that. It gives the unconscious a voice. You'll start noticing repeating frustrations, hidden fears, and old stories you've been living on autopilot. Journaling is like having a quiet conversation with the part of you that doesn't perform, doesn't please, just tells the truth. And in that truth, something shifts. Decisions feel lighter. Direction becomes clearer. You see what's real and what's just noise. On your worst days, your journal becomes a safe space, somewhere you can be angry, anxious, lost, and still be heard. And on your best days, it becomes a vault of insights and victories you'll forget if you don't capture them. Seneca wrote, "We should every night call ourselves to an account." He believed reflection was the root of wisdom. Journaling in the morning is the same principle, except instead of just reviewing the past, you're priming your mind for the day ahead. Because there's a certain kind of anxiety that doesn't come from doing too much, but from not knowing what to do at all. You wake up with energy, maybe even motivation, but by noon, you're scattered, jumping between tasks, chasing distractions, and ending the day drained with nothing meaningful to show for it. That's not laziness, that's lack of direction. When you don't give your day a target, your energy gets stolen by anything loud enough to demand it. This is where goal setting becomes essential. Not in the fluffy vision board, someday kind of way, but in the clear, grounded, immediate sense. Not 20 goals, not 10, just 3. 3 concrete, achievable tasks that move the needle forward today. Because here's the truth. Being busy doesn't mean you're being productive. Unless you define what success looks like now, you'll waste your hours reacting to everything that isn't. The Stoics knew this well. They weren't waiting for clarity to fall from the sky. They carved it out with intention. Epictetus put it sharply. First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Translation: know where you're headed, or someone else will steer you into their plan instead. Even psychology backs this. Carl Jung spoke of individuation, becoming a whole, directed person. He believed goals weren't just for achievement, but for self-realization. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. So don't overcomplicate it. Goals don't need to be massive. In fact, smaller is smarter. Reply to that email you've avoided. Write 1 page. Walk for 20 minutes. Simplicity is power. 1. Finished task builds momentum. 10 half-done ones, they build frustration. Completion creates confidence. But here's where most people slip. Mornings. Your brain wakes up scanning for input, desperate for something to attach to. And what do most feed it? Doom scrolling, outrage headlines, empty noise that spikes cortisol before breakfast. You think you're catching up, but you're really poisoning your focus before the day begins. Your mind is hungry when you wake. It craves direction, clarity, nourishment. And just like your body performs better on clean food, your thoughts perform better on clean input. Feed it noise, you get confusion. Feed it substance, you get strength. The Stoics knew this long before smartphones. They believed the first thoughts of your day should be chosen, not inherited. Seneca wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." Today, that includes the voices you let into your mind. Books, essays, podcasts, philosophy. Even 10 pages of something meaningful does more for your growth than hours of scrolling ever could. It's not about being an intellectual. It's about being intentional. Because whether you know it or not, you are being shaped every morning by the inputs you accept. Jung reminded us, you are what you do, not what you say you'll do. Choosing. To feed your mind deliberately is action, not wishful thinking. Marcus Aurelius himself began his days not with politics or strategy briefings, but with inward reflection, journaling, philosophy. Why? Because before you can lead others, you must first lead yourself. And leadership starts with what you absorb. It doesn't require a massive shift. Start with 10 minutes, a few pages, a single podcast that speaks truth into your mind instead of noise. Think of it as tuning an instrument before a performance. You're aligning your thoughts before life starts demanding things from you. Some stumble into their day half asleep, reacting to chaos. But those who seem calm, grounded, centered, they start differently. They pause. They see their day before they live it. Not on a screen, not in a planner, but in the theater of their mind. They close their eyes and picture who they want to be, how they want to move, how they want to respond. Not perfectly, but purposefully. That's visualization. And it changes everything. To some, it sounds abstract, but it's one of the most grounded, science-backed tools for shaping results. When you imagine success in detail, your brain begins wiring itself for that reality. You prime your mind to expect success, to notice opportunities, to filter out distractions. It's not magic, it's biology. And the Stoics practiced this long before neuroscience. Premeditatio malorum, a rehearsal of what could go wrong. Not to catastrophize, but to prepare. They also imagined the virtues they wanted to embody: strength, courage, clarity. Epictetus said, "Practice yourself for heaven's sake in little things, and then proceed to greater." Visualization is that practice. You're rehearsing who you want to be before the test arrives. You're not just training for the outside world. You're training your inner world, so the outer world doesn't shake you so easily. Athletes like Michael Phelps used visualization, not occasionally, not just before a big race, but every single day. He would mentally rehearse every movement of his swim, every stroke, every breath, every turn. So when the moment came, his body wasn't guessing. It already knew. His mind had been there first. That's the power of this practice. You're not just thinking positive. You're rehearsing success. You're building familiarity with the version of yourself that already knows how to win. And this isn't reserved for athletes. It's for you. Before the meeting, before the conversation you've been avoiding, before the personal goal you keep slipping on. 5 quiet minutes is enough. See the outcome you want. Feel it. Don't just picture yourself doing the task. Picture how you stand, how you breathe, how you recover when things don't go perfectly. Make it visceral. Make it believable. Marcus Aurelius did this daily. In his meditations, he didn't just write thoughts. He rehearsed who he wanted to be. He visualized self-mastery before the pressure arrived. If it was good enough for the most powerful man in Rome, it's probably good enough for us. But visualization is only one side. The other side is gratitude. Because it's easy to forget how much you already have when the world is constantly pulling your attention toward what's missing. More success, more recognition, more goals. In the chase, we lose sight of what's already in our hands. Gratitude isn't a soft, feel-good idea. It's discipline. It's mental armor. Your brain is wired to scan for problems. It's a survival instinct. If you don't guide it, it drifts toward lack, danger, fear. But the moment you bring your awareness to what's working, what's steady, what's still here, you shift. Stress eases. Perspective expands. The Stoics knew this. Seneca wrote, "Nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart." For him, gratitude wasn't decoration. It was resilience. Carl Jung echoed the same truth centuries later. Much of our suffering comes from disconnection, from meaning, from self, from the present. Gratitude reconnects you. It grounds you in what matters, and this isn't just philosophy. Science now backs it. Daily gratitude literally rewires your brain, boosting dopamine and serotonin, lowering cortisol, calming anxiety. It primes you to look for what's right instead of scanning endlessly for what's wrong. Marcus Aurelius himself, despite wars, loss, and empire-sized pressure, reminded himself daily to count what was good, useful, and true, not because life was easy, but because clarity was essential. He wrote, "Do not indulge in dreams of what you lack, but reckon up the blessings you do possess." That mindset didn't weaken him. It made him unshakable. And here's the truth. Most people wake up and rush straight into their to-do list, trying to outpace stress before it catches them. But what if instead you grounded yourself first? Not with a task, but with a thought. Not with noise, but with wisdom, one sharpened line, carried forward for centuries. Stoic wisdom isn't ancient for the sake of history. It's timeless because it works. One sentence, held in your mind like a compass, can keep you steady when the world starts spinning. Marcus wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Let that sink in. Your thoughts aren't background noise. They're the dye of your character. They stain your soul with their color. That's why reflecting on Stoic wisdom in the morning matters. It's not ritual. It's preparation. It's armor. One quote, one line, one deliberate reflection, and you're no longer stumbling into the day unguarded. You're choosing in advance how you'll meet setbacks, interruptions, criticism, and uncertainty. Instead of flinching, you respond. Instead of spiraling, you return to center. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Jung added, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." Morning reflection then isn't philosophy for its own sake. It's psychological self-defense. You don't need an hour. You don't need rituals. You just need one idea, one anchor, one deliberate choice to strengthen your inner world so the outer one doesn't break you. Ask yourself, what does this actually mean? Not in some abstract, distant way, but in your life. How does it apply? To that meeting you're nervous about? The relationship you're navigating? The challenge you've been avoiding? Stoicism was never meant to stay trapped in books. It was meant to live in your choices, in your daily decisions. And the more you practice this, the more grounded you become. You start noticing when your mind wants to spiral into drama, when your ego wants to lash out, when fear wants to take the wheel. And in those moments, you remember the line you started the day with. That one simple sentence becomes a quiet force. Not loud, not dramatic, just steady, pulling you back to yourself. Because here's the truth. There's a kind of exhaustion that has nothing to do with sleep. It's the heaviness that builds when life is lived entirely indoors, beneath fluorescent lights, behind screens, under pressure. Your mind is overstimulated, your body is underwhelmed, you're constantly plugged in, constantly reacting, and without even realizing it, you become disconnected from the world, from your body, from yourself. Sometimes the solution isn't more productivity. It's not more caffeine. It's not another hack. It's stepping outside. Basic? Maybe. But powerful. A few minutes of real air in your lungs. The ground beneath your feet. Sunlight, or even rain on your skin. It can shift your entire mental state because it's not just about escaping a room. It's about reconnecting with something ancient, something essential. Before calendars, before algorithms, before skyscrapers, there were seasons. There was birdsong, wind, soil, and we are still wired for that world, even if we don't live in it anymore. The Stoics knew this. They didn't see themselves as separate from nature. They aligned with it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Adapt yourself to the life you have been given, and truly love the people with whom destiny has surrounded you." That includes the world itself. Nature wasn't background. It was teacher. It reminded them that everything flows, everything changes, everything connects. Jung saw the same truth. He believed much of modern suffering comes from disconnection, from nature, from soul, from meaning. Natural life, he said, is the nourishing soil of the soul. Lose contact with that soil, and you feel ungrounded, restless, anxious, and it's no coincidence. A short walk in the woods calms you more than hours of overthinking ever could. You don't need a retreat in the mountains. Start small. Step outside in the morning. Feel the cold air or the warmth of the sun. Notice the sky, the trees, the stillness. Not as another task, but as a reminder. Nature is still here, outside the curated chaos of your schedule. Always waiting, always steady. Heraclitus once wrote, "Nature loves to hide, but it's not hiding from you. It's inviting you back. And when you answer that invitation, the urgency of everything else begins to fade. You feel human again, because here's another truth. There's a reason your mornings feel foggy, slow, scattered. And it's not just coffee or motivation, it's fuel, or rather the lack of it. Your brain is a physical organ. It doesn't run on thoughts alone. It runs on fuel. And the quality of that fuel matters more than most people admit. But too often, breakfast is sacrificed at the altar of speed, skipped entirely, or replaced with sugar and empty energy. Sure, it carries you for a while. Then comes the crash, the fog, the irritability, and suddenly your day unravels. Not because you're weak, not because you lack discipline, but because your body was never given what it needed to perform. The Stoics would call this self-negligence. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That mastery isn't just about thoughts or words. It's also about care. The way you honor your body, and starting your day with real nourishment. That is self-respect in action. Protein to stabilize blood sugar. Healthy fats for focus and balance. Whole foods that fuel you evenly, not quick jolts that leave you empty. Eggs, oats, yogurt, nuts, avocado. Real food, real fuel. Because when you feed yourself well in the morning, you're sending a signal, not just to your body, but to your mind. I came to perform today. Jung understood this too. To him, the body and psyche were not separate. They mirrored each other. He wrote, "The mind is like the eye. It cannot see itself without reflection, and part of that reflection is how you treat your physical form. Honor the body, and the mind follows. What you feed your body becomes the fuel of your thoughts, the steadiness of your emotions, and the clarity of your choices." This isn't about guilt or chasing perfection. It's about awareness. Would you expect an athlete to train without fuel? A surgeon to perform with shaky hands? Then why expect yourself to think clearly, act decisively, or stay grounded when your most basic needs are unmet? Some mornings, the hardest battle isn't getting out of bed. It's facing the voice inside your own head. That quiet critic that whispers doubts replays yesterday's mistakes, and casts shadows before the day has even begun. If you don't, counter it. It sets the tone for everything that follows. This is where affirmations matter. Not as shallow slogans, but as intentional counterattacks. Words are not noise. They are anchors. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Whatever you repeat becomes you." Carl Jung echoed this truth. Words are animals, alive with a will of their own. When you speak words of strength, direction, and grounding, you're not just talking to yourself, you're speaking into yourself. You're planting seeds in the soil of your mind, and yes, it may feel awkward at first. Even if your voice shakes, say it anyway. Say, "I control how I respond. Today I choose clarity over chaos," because your brain is always listening. The sound of your own voice carries power. Seneca put it simply, "We become brave by doing brave acts." You don't wait for confidence to arrive before speaking confidently. You speak confidence until it grows inside you. That is daily Stoic practice. You don't need to control the whole day. You just need to own the morning. Because how you begin is how you live. Strength, clarity, peace. These are not things we stumble upon. They are things we practice moment by moment, choice by choice. If this message resonated with you, there's another video waiting on the screen right now. One that will take you deeper. Something tells me it's exactly what you need next. Thank you for being here with Stoic Sage Academy, where we don't chase perfection. We train for presence. Until next time, stay steady, stay grounded, and keep walking the quiet path forward.